Good morning. Today I'm going to present about introduction. Before that, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Yashwini Indramani. Metric number is 272461. Okay, basically a portfolio is an area of investment. A company may have an investment portfolio, but a portfolio typically alludes to the investment that a person has at some random time. A portfolio management is very involved and includes assets being bought and sold rapidly. Be that as it may, a few investors want to create a portfolio and allows it to remain altered over the long term in general. The goal of a portfolio is to build a source of income and growth for investment while keeping the main investment estimate perfectly. There are various methods to get this target. For instance, manage risk, expansion, and programming system. In this way, our group choose to analyze the following company, which is Kopmark Corp Berhad, Malayan Banking Berhad, Top Glove Company Berhad, Syntax Berhad, and Dolphin International Berhad. Next is economic analysis. Malaysia is Southeast Asia's fourth largest economy and continues to perform strongly due to a strong demand in electronics product and expanding employment market and spending on ample of infrastructure. Besides, this year, the COVID-19 outbreak has forced Malaysian economic into a recession. Control steps, rising unemployment and diminishing assumption have hindered domestic demands. These are expected to contract on the quite global demand, the delicate cost of product and the travel industry. Public and private investment have reduced financial development to an estimated 4.3% in 2019, and the government has decreased the expenditure. COVID-19 pandemic has caused the product GDP growth to fall into negative 1.7% in 2020 and coming 2021. Malaysia has an extraordinarily low unemployment rate of 3.3% in 2019, but with 11.6%, the teenage unemployment rate is more than threefold. By multiplying per capita income by 2020, Malaysia has tried to further boost the Malaysian economy. Finally, economic development is most economic was affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Bank Negara Malaysia Monetary Policy Commit (MPC) has reduced the overnight policy rate (OPR) by 50 base point to 2%.
Industrial analysis of Top Glove Corporation Berhad. I'll be start with the company overview. The company engaged in investment holding and providing management services. They are known as the rubber glove manufacturer. They operate in Malaysia, Thailand, China, and many most countries. They have provided their products into the various industry such as aerospace, automotive, beauty, food, home care, healthcare, and semiconductor industry. They have produced many types of related glove. Growth of cycle. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the demand for the surgical glove blows day by day. Share of top glove gained 4.72%. The net profit for the ended December 2020 was 1.79 billion ringgit compared with the 0.37 billion ringgit in 2019. The revenue increase of 51% year-on-year to 7.2 billion ringgit from 4.8 billion ringgit. Next, competitive position in industry. The company operates at 50% capacity and 65% of global demand for rubber medical glove. Malaysian Rubber Glove Manufacturer Association produced 237 million units in 2020 by 200 factories. Top Glove is currently the world's biggest supplier of the latex glove among other companies. They gain 30 to 35% of the global demand.
Okay, my name is Sachita Murthy, matrix number 272702. 3.2 is fundamental analysis, which is we calculated liquidity ratios. Under this, we get two, current ratio and quick ratio. Then the second thing is equity ratios, which is we calculated asset turnover, receivable turnover, and inventory turnover. Okay, next is profitability ratios, which is we calculated for three: net profit margin, return on asset, and return on equity. We provided with graph, and after that leverage ratios. First is debt ratio and second is debt equity ratios. After that we calculated for common stock ratio, which is earning per share, and dividend payout ratios. Next, 3.3 technical analysis, which can be used on any security with historical trading data. This includes stocks, futures, commodities, fixed income, currencies, and other securities. For Top Glove Corporation Berhad, we have found the moving average and support and resistance and the third is relative strength index and moving average convergence and divergence. We have provided with graph. You can refer in the document.
Industrial analysis of the Syntec Berhad. I will start with the company overview. The company is the producer of industrial strength films. They operates in the manufacturing, which is in the packaging product, and the property development in the constructing and developing residential properties. They are engaged in the property investment and development, which is include manufacturing of polyvinyl, chloride, PVC films and sheets, and shredding of packaging-related materials, among others. So we move to the growth cycle. Net profit of the company increased 16.9% of 390 millions in the end of December 2020 from 333 millions in the year 2019. The revenue increased to 3.5 millions in the end of 2020 from 2.6 million previously. The benefit gain from the COVID-19 pandemic because of the manufacturing segment revenue grew at 8.3%. So next, competitive position in industry. The growing of demand came from the end-user industry such as packaging, electrical and electronics, as well as the construction industry. Demand for plastic also increased considerably because of the increase of the Malaysian population as a fast food growing at the Malaysian industry beverage. Competitor perspective in Malaysian plastic market is Torre Plastic Sdn Bhd, Polyplastic Asia Pacific Sdn Bhd, Ben Meyer Polymers Sdn Bhd.
Good day, doctor. My name is Ng Shuyin and my matrix number is 262891. Next, I'm going to share about the fundamental analysis of Syntec Berhad Company. First, the current ratio of the company was highest in the year 2020 with a figure of 1.35. Next, the quick ratio is also the highest with a figure of 1.09 in 2020. After that, the highest total asset turnover ratio is 0.98 in 2016. The account receivable turnover in year 2016 has a better figure with 6.97. The highest inventory turnover ratio is in 2016 with 12.58. After that, the net profit margin showed the highest figure in 2020 with 13.30. The return on asset for this company showed the highest ratio in 2016 with 11.13. The highest return on equity ratio is 20.18 in year 2016. The debt to asset ratio for this company is below 1 for 5 years. The debt to equity ratio is highest in 2018, which is 0.83. The earning per share is the highest in 2016 with 105.88. The dividend payout ratio is increasing from year 2016 to 2018 with the highest figure of 0.34 in year 2018.
Okay, 4.3 is about Syntec Berhad, which is moving average. This chart is shown above despite the price movement of Syntec Berhad accompanied by moving average. The aim of using moving average is to identify the simple price trend line by reduce the random of short-term price of functional. This chart also no so much exchange because the price up slow down, so no effect to the stock. So as you can see, the support resistance. The purpose of using support and resistance is to determine buying or selling the profit of taking area. And for the relative strength index and moving average governance divergence. As you can see, this chart portrays the price movement of Syntec Berhad along the relative strength index and moving average governance divergence. So for MACD, there are two different moving average, which is the blue line represent the faster moving average while the red line is represent the slower moving average. So next we go to the Komarkop Berhad. So for the industry analysis, Komarkop Berhad is a company that engaged in the provision of management service is two subsidiaries. The company segment include manufacturing of self-adhesive labels and sticker and training of related product and manufacturing of automatic labeling manufacturers. For the growth segment of industry, the effect of COVID-19 right now, the manufacturing sector become one of the most sector that being affected because most of the company of manufacturers are decreasing their production and furloughing workers. Others are increasing, shifting and relocating production to meet demand. And for evaluation of the competitive position in industry, Komarkop Berhad is not a large company by global standards. It has a market capitalization of 46 million ringgit Malaysia, which means it wouldn't have attention of many institutional investors.
5.2 Fundamental Analysis. Before I start my presentation, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Intan Hasina binti Abdul Rahman, my metric number 272354. In this fundamental analysis, we have plot graphs that will calculate activity ratio, common stock ratio, profitability ratio, leverage ratio, and liquidity ratio. In activity ratio, we have calculate asset turnover, receivable turnover, and inventory turnover. In common stock ratio, we have calculate earning per share, dividend payout ratio, and for profitability ratio, we have calculate net profit margin, ROA and ROE. For leverage ratio, we have calculate debt ratio and debt equity ratio. And lastly, liquidity ratio, we have calculate current ratio, quick ratio asset. 5.3 Technical Analysis. In this technical analysis, we have graph for moving average MA. The function of MA is used to predict trend of stock. And we have plot moving average converted division MACD and relative strength index RSI. MACD is a trigger for buyer and seller signal, and for RSI is a measure that magnetic of recent price change to evaluate overbought or oversold condition in stock price. Lastly, we have plot support and resistance. This support and resistance is to determine the buyer or selling and profit taking areas.
Hello everyone, my name is Ye Sheng Shang. My metric number is 243734. I'm going to present my part, the industry analysis. So, for the Bank Malaysia Berhad is a holding company for the Malaysia's banking group with branches in Malaysia, Singapore, and other international financial centers such as London, New York, Hong Kong, and Bahrain. The company is fully engaged in commercial bank and the related financial service. The company's business include global commercial financial service, global banking, global insurance, and transport. We can say that even though the bank may be affected by COVID-19, but the Malaysia Bank, was still able to fill the first quarter net portfolio for up to 30% at 2.05 billion ringgit for the first quarter and 31 March 2020. Figures for 2019 show that banking sector total capital ratio should at the 90.4% at 121 billion for the excess capital compared to the 39 billion in 2008 and is able to absorb the protein crate and market losses. In February this year, the Malaysia banking sector had a commercial equity tier 1 capital ratio for 40.4% and the total impaired loan ratio of 1.6%.
Report is a technical analysis. Firstly, MA. From the chart, we can see the MA is up to the moment of the early November and slow or well at late November and up again at first week of December. And for the next MACD, we can from the chart the value over 17 above and the 13 below equal oversold. And we lie on the 5 October 2020 which single at the buy the stock equity. Besides, also have a buy single on mid October due to break of RSI. The next part is support and resistance. The chart as shown above depends on price movement of BUAH, and they have 3 stages. Is first 9 November, is second 10 November to 9 December. The last is 11 December. The resistance is 8.94 and support at 8.35. The next part is 7.1 industry analysis. The first is the company portfolios. BWFN International Berhad is an investment holding company. Investing in the design, development, and manufacturing sale of the electronic. Industry growth circle in 2018, the manufacturing according of near 16% of the global GDP and was a majority company of the economy. And BWFN International Behavior Product in the design, development, manufacturing, and sale of the paint, oil, electronic, automation, pneumatic, and hydraulic system and products. And it decreased by 13.8% or 79.3%, which also affects product of the company. From the MCO, April 14, 2020 was 1.48 million ton due to current problems. Thank you.
Good day, sir. My name is Wasi. Metric number is 262804, and I will present about the fundamental analysis for Dolphin International Company. Under equity ratio analysis, so that the highest current ratio was recorded at 2.05, we show the company has the most ability to pick up its debts, especially in the years 2016. Whether for the current ratio is The highest Q ratio was recorded at 2.04, which means the company can pay off their existing liability in Middle East, especially in 2016. And under activity ratio analysis, so that the highest asset turnover is at 0.45 in 2015, which shows the company has the efficiency to manage its assets, and this is the best among these 5 years. And for the receivable turnover, which is increased from year 2017 to year 2019, we show this company is grouping and managing well in these receivable turnover ratios. And inventory turnover is the lowest is recorded in 2018 with only 4 by 69, and shows the company has the slower moving inventories in stock. So overall, the company is still weak in inventory management. Under profitability ratio analysis, the figure shows decreasing of positive value from 4.41 in 2015 and falls to negative value for the following years until 2019. So the decreasing figure signals that the company's ability to generate more profit from their sales are decreasing and face some problems. And for the return on asset for Dolphin International company is moderately low with a positive and highest value in 2015 with 0.02. Yet the ratio falls continually to negative value until 2019 and shown the inability of the company to generate more in net income from their sales. And the figure shows that return on equity ratios decreases from positive value in 2015 to negative value in next few years until 2019. And this shows companies got problem with ROE. We indicate their performance decrease years by year. Under leverage ratio analysis, so that the debt ratios for this company for 4 years is under 1 and only 1 year is more than 1. So overall, the assets for Dolphin International company are financed by less liability and more equities and place the funds at lower risk due to the debt. And the debt equity ratios is decreased from 2015 to 2016 and then increases until 2018 before falls again in 2019. So the overall, this show that company is become mean high risky to creditors and investors. Under common stock ratio analysis, the higher earning per share rate is more favorable than low rates. So based on the graph, that is a drastic drop from 2017 to 2019. This indicates that the company profitability is decreasing and facing some problems. Whereas the last is for the dividend payout ratios. Based on the graph from 2017 to 2018, the ratio is increasing drastically and means the company's control on these ratios, and the company is giving more dividends to shareholders. That's all from me. Thank you.
Good day, sir. My name is Ji Xiaoning and my metric number is 263290. I will present about the technical analysis of Dolphin International Berhad. First of all, for the moving average, from the chart we can see that the downward trend in earlier November and the reversal and sharp upward trend in the middle of November. There are not so many action in this chart because the price rise and flow slowly, so it does not affect the stock after the middle of December. However, for the relative strength index RSI and moving average convergence divergence MACD, there is a crossover around mid-October. The blue line begin to divide from the red line and the histogram become larger, which is a strong sign of an upward trend. Therefore, it's suggested to continue to buy after the divergence of MACD. And the last one for the support and resistance. In the middle of October, the price fluctuated slightly. Then it fell back at the end of October, rose sharply at the beginning of November and began to fluctuate unpredictable from the middle of the month. From around December, it tends to be stable and there is a possibility of a slight increase in support in the future. So we can buy it. That's all from me. Thank you.
In conclusion, the entire company in this portfolio comes from separate fields and are not likely to be identified with each other. The fundamental analysis of each of the well-being of the company depends on the 5 major aspects of ratio, which are the profitability ratio, common stock ratio, activity ratio, liquidity ratio, and leverage ratio. The fundamental analysis leads one to the conclusion that each of the company is performing very well in their industry and is not likely to fall. We conclude that all of our organization have a highly anticipate stock growth. Thank you.